What's the strangest favor a friend has ever asked you that was completely unexpected? My best friend Sophia grabbed my arm tightly and shouted, "That's him. That's the hot guy I've been telling you about." I looked in the direction she was looking and spotted him immediately. I mean, to be fair, he was hard not to notice. He was impressively handsome, with blue eyes and dark hair and a cute dimple every time he smiled. No wonder she had been talking about him nonstop for weeks. Sophia smiled at me. "So, could you do me a little favor and ask if he's single and maybe interested in me?" I blinked at her confused. "Sophia, you're the most confident person I know. I've seen you walk up to strangers at the airport and ask for their number, but you can't ask this guy." She looked in his direction and waved. "Yeah, exactly. So, please, will you ask him?" "Okay," I replied. "Yay. Okay, but remember to be casual about it," she said, fixing my hair as if I were going into battle. "Go on. Start a conversation and then ask if he's interested." But it was difficult. I mean, I had seen Sophia dozens of times approaching guys, but my only conversation with boys was about homework. And this hot guy was on a completely different level. I rehearsed the phrase in my head about 5 times while walking slowly. "My friend thinks you're cute. Are you interested?" It sounded so idiotic, but Sophia was counting on me. "Okay, casual conversation first. I can do this. I totally can do this," I thought. But when I touched his arm and his blue eyes met mine, I panicked and blurted it all out. "Hi, you're handsome. I mean, my friend thinks you're handsome. She's right there, right there. Are you interested in her?" I wanted to hit myself. So much for the plan. The guy looked where I was pointing and saw my friend give a thumbs up. He laughed, then turned to me. "And you?" he asked in a smooth voice. "Are you interested?" I blinked at him, thinking I might have heard wrong. "Sorry," I said, "my friend, the pretty girl over there with curls and freckles and pink shirt." He smiled a little, attacking me with his dimples. "I know who you meant, but I'm asking about you. Are you interested?" I felt my brain short-circuit. This wasn't anything like I expected it to be. "I'm just the messenger," I told him awkwardly. He leaned his shoulder against the wall and tilted his head. "Does this messenger have a name?" Well, my friend's name is Sophia, and she really likes you. She's been talking about you for months." He nodded. "That's cool. And I've been watching you all night at this party, even before you came here." "What? Why?" I let slip. He smiled at my shocked expression. "Yeah, I saw you dancing. Maybe you thought no one would recognize it, but I knew those moves from afar. They're from Just Dance." "Oh my God. Thank you." Finally, a man of culture that we stood there talking about old Wii games and video games for a moment, until I remembered why I had come there in the first place. "So, about Sophia, she's really funny and smart. Actually, she's studying medicine," I said, trying to redirect things again. But every time I did that, he turned the focus back to me. And for 20 minutes we kept going back and forth, smiling at each other, like in the most fun game of cat and mouse. That's when Sophia texted me asking for updates. "Look, I really need an answer for my friend. Are you interested in her or not?" "Well, do you want me to be interested in her?" he asked, moving his face close to mine. I wanted to say no. This was the first time I really enjoyed talking to a guy, and I was starting to really like him, but I couldn't betray Sophia. So I said quietly, "I guess so." He sighed and looked at me with a serious expression. "I'm sure your friend is great, but I'm more interested in you." So here he took out his phone and handed it to me. "If you're sure, you can give my number to her." He texted me immediately. "If you change your mind, I'd like to take you out sometime." I went back to Sophia, feeling like the worst friend in the world. Sophia pulled me aside and smiled. "So how did it go?" I held her hands and grimaced. "I'm sorry, Sophia." But he said no. She shrugged. "Oh, that's okay. But did he ask you out? Did you say yes?" she asked excitedly. I looked at her completely confused. "How did you know that?" She burst out laughing. "Okay, don't be mad at me. But he's been asking about you for weeks. Like, every time we had study group or after class. Apparently he fell in love at first sight when he saw you feeding a stray cat on campus. How cute. So, of course I had to help him, right? I knew if I sent you over there, he'd finally make a move." I couldn't believe what she was saying all along. I thought I was being Cupid when Sophia was the real Cupid all along. "Wait, so you never liked him?" She shook her head. "He's handsome and all, but not my type." I didn't know whether to hug her or yell at her for playing a cruel trick on me. I looked at my phone, smiling at his message. That's when he appeared behind me. On second thought, he looked Sophia straight in the eyes. "I should probably thank you properly for being the best Cupid of all time." He smiled at both of us, and my face got so hot I thought it might actually catch fire. I looked around the party and noticed that everyone nearby had stopped their conversations to watch us. A girl I recognized from my biology class was literally staring with her mouth open. A group of guys near the kitchen counter were nudging each other and pointing. This was going to be all over campus by tomorrow morning. Sophia burst out laughing and pulled me into a side hug that almost knocked me off balance. She looked directly at him and said she only helps people she really likes and wouldn't have bothered with this whole setup if she didn't think we'd be perfect together. My heart was doing strange jumps in my chest as she said this. The guy nodded and then turned to me with those stupid perfect dimples appearing again. He asked if I wanted to get out of there and maybe walk around campus for a bit. I looked at Sophia to make sure this was really okay, because I still felt weird about the whole situation. She practically pushed me toward him while making these big, shooing motions with her hands, like I was a cat she was trying to put outside. We started walking toward the door, and I heard someone whistle behind us. My face got even hotter somehow. We stepped out into the cool night air, and I took a deep breath. People were definitely going to talk about this tomorrow, and probably for the rest of the week. That we walked down the trail toward the courtyard, and he asked if I always got so nervous or if it was just because of the weird setup situation. I admitted that I basically never talked to guys except about homework or group projects. And this whole situation seemed completely crazy and unreal. He laughed a little and said that actually made him feel better. I looked at him confused, and he explained that he also gets very anxious in social situations. This surprised me so much that I stopped walking for a second. He seemed so smooth and confident back at the party. He said he just has practice making conversation, but his heart was racing the whole time we talked. He was so nervous about me rejecting him that he almost said nothing when I approached him. We kept walking and ended up near the library where there were these benches under the trees. We sat down, and he took out his phone. He showed me the message he had sent earlier asking me out. Then he asked if I really wanted to go or if I felt pressured because Sophia had set up this whole situation. I thought about lying or saying something casual, but decided to just be honest. I told him I wanted to go, but I also felt very guilty because I thought Sophia liked him first. He shook his head and explained that Sophia had approached him weeks ago to ask if he was interested in her friend. He said he immediately answered yes, because he had been trying to figure out how to talk to me for a long time. I just stared at him trying to process this information. He opened his messages and showed me this whole conversation between him and Sophia. I started scrolling and realized my best friend had been conducting like a complete military operation behind my back. There were messages from 3 weeks ago where Sophia was literally coaching him on how to approach me. She had told him which classes I had and where I normally studied. She had given advice on what to say and how to start a conversation. I started laughing because some of Sophia's suggestions were completely ridiculous. She had told him to accidentally bump into me at the campus cafeteria and spill his drink to have an excuse to talk to me. He admitted he had tried exactly that twice, but gave up both times. The first time he got to the cafeteria and saw me sitting there with my headphones on and just left. The second time he actually got in line behind me, but then panicked and pretended he received a phone call. I was laughing so hard that tears came out of my eyes. He showed me another message where Sophia suggested he should borrow a pencil in class. I told him that would never work because I always arrived in class with about 5 spare pencils. He said that's exactly what Sophia said when he suggested it. We sat there talking for another hour about completely random things. He told me about his family and growing up with 2 older sisters that I told him about my weird obsession with feeding the campus cats. He said that's what made him notice me first, seeing me squat down with food and talk to this orange cat, as if it were a person. It seemed so easy and natural to talk to him when I wasn't trying to set him up with someone else. The conversation just flowed without awkward pauses or moments where I didn't know what to say. Eventually, he checked his phone and said it was getting pretty late. He walked me back to my dorm building, and we went slowly, as if neither of us really wanted the night to end. When we got to my building, he asked if we could get coffee on the weekend, just the 2 of us, no Cupid schemes or setups. I said yes, and he smiled so big that his dimples appeared again. He gave me a quick hug and then headed back across campus. I watched him leave for a second before going inside. I threw my bag on the bed and took out my phone with trembling hands. My thumb hovered over Sophia's contact for about 3 seconds before I pressed call. She answered after 2 rings, and I could hear music playing in the background along with people laughing and talking. She must have stepped outside because suddenly it got quieter and she was asking what happened and if I said yes to the date. I told her everything about how we talked for another hour after she left the party. I explained how he showed me all their messages and how she had been coaching him for weeks. Sophia laughed so loud I had to move the phone away from my ear. She admitted the whole situation took almost a month to plan because he kept asking about me in their study group. She said he would randomly mention me in conversations or ask what classes I was taking. He'd ask if I had a boyfriend or what kind of things I liked to do. Sophia said she finally just told him she'd help him because watching him try to work up the courage was painful. I asked directly if she ever had feelings for him. She swore she didn't and said he was handsome, but totally not her type. She told me she genuinely just wanted to help both of us because she could see we'd be good together. I felt a huge weight lift off my chest hearing her say that. We talked for another 20 minutes before she said she needed to go back inside. I threw myself on the bed and stared at my phone screen for too long before finally falling asleep. The next morning, I woke up to a notification and saw he had sent me a meme about old Wii games. It showed Mario and Luigi with some caption about being gaming legends. And I actually laughed out loud. I took a screenshot and sent it to Sophia before even responding to him. She texted back within minutes telling me I didn't need to run everything by her first. I explained that I wanted to be transparent about everything so no one would feel weird or left out. She sent back a bunch of heart emojis and told me to just have fun and be myself. I probably spent 30 minutes trying to craft the perfect response to his meme. I typed out about 5 different messages and deleted them all. They all sounded too eager or too casual or just stupid. I finally gave up on words and just sent back a Just Dance gif showing one of the characters doing a ridiculous move. He responded almost immediately with 3 laughing emojis and asked if I wanted to get coffee on Saturday. My heart started racing as I typed yes back, and we agreed to meet at this little coffee shop near campus at noon. The rest of the week dragged by so slowly. I kept alternating between feeling excited and completely terrified. Tuesday I was happy and confident. Wednesday I convinced myself he would change his mind. Thursday I was excited again. Friday I was a nervous mess. Sophia came over Wednesday night and helped me pick out an outfit that looked cute, but not like I was trying too hard. She pulled out half my wardrobe and made me try on different combinations. Friday night, I was lying in bed scrolling through my phone when Sunita from my biology class texted me. She asked if the rumors about me and Sophia's guy were really true. I had no idea what she was talking about, so I asked what rumors. She explained that people from the party had been talking all week about a possible love triangle situation. Apparently, people thought Sophia liked him and I stole him from her, or something equally dramatic. I immediately texted Sophia freaking out about what Sunita had told me. My phone rang about 2 seconds later, and it was Sophia calling to calm me down. She said people always gossip about party drama and make up stories that are much more interesting than reality. She told me it would all pass once people saw we were still friends and everything was normal. I felt a little better after talking to her, but barely slept that night. Saturday morning finally arrived, and I was so nervous I thought I might throw up. I changed my outfit 3 times before settling on just jeans and a sweater. The first outfit looked too dressed up, like I was trying too hard. The second was too casual, like I didn't care at all. The third seemed right. Sophia sent me an entire message of encouragement about how he already liked me. So I just needed to relax and be myself. She reminded me we had already spent hours talking at the party, and it was great. I read her message about 5 times while getting ready. I brushed my teeth twice and checked my hair in the mirror about 100 times. My hands were shaking when I grabbed my bag and headed out toward the coffee shop. The coffee shop was only 10 minutes from my dorm, but I walked super slowly because I was still freaking out. I kept checking my phone to see if he had texted canceling, but nothing came. When I finally got to the coffee shop, he was already sitting at a table by the window and waved when he saw me arrive. I waved back and almost tripped on the door going in. He stood up when I got to the table and did this awkward half-hug thing that made us both laugh. We ordered our drinks, and the barista gave us this knowing smile like she could tell it was a first date. I got a vanilla latte, and he got black coffee, which surprised me because it seemed very adult that we sat back down at the corner table, and he asked about my classes. I told him about my communications professor who makes everyone play weird icebreaker games. He laughed and said his biology professor falls asleep during his own lectures. The conversation felt forced at first because we were obviously nervous, But then he brought up the stray cat I feed on campus. He admitted that's when he first noticed me, seeing me squat down with food and talk to the cat as if it understood every word. My face got super hot, but he said it was the sweetest thing he'd ever seen. He told me he asked around until someone mentioned my name, then spent weeks trying to work up the courage to approach me. I asked why he hadn't just come talk to me, and he said he's actually terrible at talking to girls, despite seeming confident. He needed Sophia's help, just like I needed her push to approach him at the party. We ended up staying at the coffee shop for 3 hours, just talking about everything. He told me about growing up with two older sisters, who taught him to respect women and never be pushy. I shared stories about my awkward middle school years when I had braces and terrible haircuts. When we finally left, he asked if he could hold my hand while we walked back to campus. I said yes, and it felt natural and good, not weird like I feared it might be. We ran into some people from the party near the student center, and I saw them notice we were holding hands and whisper to each other. The guy didn't seem bothered at all, but I felt embarrassed with everyone watching. He walked me back to my dorm and asked if I wanted to do this again next weekend. I said yes, and he gave me a quick hug before leaving. I practically floated upstairs to my room. Sophia showed up an hour later, demanding every detail, and I told her everything while she smiled like a proud mom. She made me promise to keep her updated, but also said I didn't need her permission to date him. During the next week, we texted constantly about completely random things. Monday morning, he sent me a picture of an orange cat sleeping on a bench with the caption, "Your friend says hi." I sent back a Mario Kart meme, and he responded with 3 laughing emojis. Tuesday, he texted asking if I'd seen the new game trailer that came out, and we spent an hour discussing whether it looked good or terrible. Wednesday morning, he sent a picture of his terrible attempt at making breakfast with the caption, "Send help." I responded with a gif of someone burning toast. Thursday, he asked what my favorite childhood show was, and we got into a debate about which Nickelodeon shows were actually good. Friday, he sent a picture of himself making a ridiculous face in the library, and I saved it on my phone. It felt easy and fun, not stressful or complicated like I expected dating to be. On Wednesday after my biology class, Sunita pulled me aside in the hallway. She looked around like she was going to share some big secret. Then she told me people were still gossiping about the situation with Sophia. I asked what people were saying, and she explained that most people thought it was weird I was dating someone my best friend liked first. Some people were even saying I stole him from Sophia or that there was drama between us. I felt my stomach drop because I thought all this had passed after the party. Sunita said the rumors had been circulating all week in her friend group and in other people's classes. I tried to explain that Sophia never actually liked him and was just helping to get us together, but Sunita shook her head. She warned me that people will believe what they want to believe regardless of the truth. She suggested maybe posting something on social media to clear things up and show everyone that Sophia and I were still friends. I thanked her for telling me and went straight to Sophia's dorm. She was studying for her medical exam, but put down her book when she saw my face. I explained everything Sunita had told me about the ongoing rumors. Sophia rolled her eyes and said we should just ignore them, because trying to explain would only make us look defensive. She pointed out that anyone who actually knows us would know the truth about what happened. She said people love drama and making up stories about love triangles, but it would pass once something more interesting happened on campus. I felt a little better after talking to her, but was still worried about what people were thinking that night. The guy texted me asking if I was okay because he'd heard some rumors going around. I appreciated that he was checking in instead of just ignoring it. We ended up talking on the phone for over an hour about how campus gossip can be annoying. He said people had been asking him questions about whether he was mad at him or if there was drama between all of us. I told him about my conversation with Sunita and what she had suggested about social media. He said maybe we should be open about dating so people would stop making up stories and speculating. I agreed, but said I wanted to make sure Sophia was comfortable with us being public first. He thought that was very considerate and said it was one of the things he liked about me that we decided to meet with Sophia on Friday to talk about everything together. Friday afternoon, the 3 of us met for lunch at the campus dining hall. We got our food and found a table in the corner, away from other people. I started to explain the situation, but Sophia immediately interrupted me. She said she was totally fine with us dating publicly and people needed to get over their love triangle fantasies. She laughed and said the whole situation was ridiculous because she never even liked him that way. The guy thanked her for being so cool about everything and helping him from the beginning. Sophia smiled and said she only helps people she really cares about and wouldn't have bothered if she didn't think we'd be perfect together. We decided to just act normal and let people think what they wanted, because explaining would probably make things worse. After lunch, the guy took out his phone and took a picture of us at the cafeteria where we'd gone on our first date. He posted it on social media with a caption about finally meeting the girl who feeds campus cats. I felt nervous about being so public, but also relieved that we weren't hiding anymore. Within an hour, Sophia had commented on the post with a bunch of heart emojis and a joke about her excellent Cupid skills. Seeing her comment made me feel so much better because it showed everyone we were all still friends. Other people started commenting too, mostly positive things about how we looked cute together. I noticed the gossip died down pretty quickly after that because people could see there was no drama between us. The following week, I walked into my communications class and sat in my usual seat. The professor announced we'd be doing a group project and started reading out the assigned teams. When she called my name, I grabbed my notebook and looked around to see who else was in my group. That's when I heard the guy's name being called along with 3 other students I didn't know very well. My heart started beating faster because everyone in class knew we were dating now after his social media post. It felt a little strange walking up to the group table where he was already sitting. The other 3 students were already there, and they all gave us these knowing looks when I sat next to him. Our group leader started talking about the assignment, and I took out my notebook to take notes. The guy sat across from me, and we both focused on what everyone was saying instead of each other. When it was my turn to share ideas, I spoke directly to the whole group and didn't look at him more than anyone else. He did the same thing when he presented his thoughts on the project timeline. We divided the work pretty evenly, and everyone seemed happy with their parts. The meeting lasted about 40 minutes, and we all agreed to meet again next week with our sections done. I packed up my things and started walking toward the door when one of the girls in our group caught up with me. She smiled and said we were really cute together, and it was nice to see a couple that could work so well together. I thanked her, but felt my face heat up because I hadn't realized people were paying such close attention to how we acted. The guy was waiting outside the classroom, and we walked together toward the library. He asked if I felt weird working with him in front of other people, and I admitted it was a little strange knowing everyone was watching us. He said he felt the same way, but thought we did a good job keeping things normal and professional. 3 days later, I met Sophia at our usual study spot in the corner of the campus cafeteria. She had her medical textbooks spread out everywhere and was highlighting something when I sat down. She looked up and asked how things were going with the guy and if I was enjoying the relationship. I said it was really good, but sometimes I felt uncomfortable with how many people knew about us and had opinions. She stopped highlighting and looked at me seriously. She said people will always have something to say about everything, and the only thing that really mattered was if I was happy. I thought about it for a minute and realized she was completely right. I had been worrying so much about what other students thought that I forgot to just enjoy being with someone I really liked. She went back to her book, and I opened my laptop to work on an essay that was due next week. We studied for 2 hours and ordered coffee refills 3 times before heading back to our dorms. Saturday morning, I woke up to a message from the guy asking if I was ready for our volunteer shift at the animal shelter. I had mentioned wanting to help there a few weeks ago and completely forgot until he reminded me. He said he signed us up for a 2-hour afternoon shift and would pick me up at noon. I got dressed in old jeans and a t-shirt I wouldn't mind getting dirty and met him outside my building. We walked to the shelter, which was only about 10 minutes from campus. The coordinator gave us a quick tour and explained what we'd be doing. She took us to the cat room first, and there were probably 15 cats just relaxing on different levels of climbing towers. I sat on the floor, and immediately 3 cats came to investigate. The guy sat next to me and started petting an orange cat that jumped on his lap. He was so gentle with the cat and kept talking to it as if it could understand him. He made up this whole story about the cat being a secret agent on an important mission, and I couldn't stop laughing. We spent about an hour there playing with different cats and cleaning their areas. Then we went to the dog section, where we took 4 different dogs on short walks around the property. Each dog had such a different personality, and the guy kept making funny comments about what they were probably thinking. One dog kept stopping to smell literally everything, and he said the dog was clearly a food critic reviewing local restaurants. Another dog was pulling the leash really hard, and he joked it was training for a marathon. I had so much fun just being silly with him and the animals. It felt easy and natural, and I wasn't worried about what anyone thought or if we looked cute together. On the walk back to campus, he got kind of quiet for a minute. Then he stopped walking and turned to face me. He said he really liked spending time with me and wanted to know if I'd be interested in making this relationship official. I didn't even need to think about my answer and said yes immediately. He smiled really big and held my hand as we continued walking. We decided to tell Sophia in person because she deserved to hear the news directly from us. We went straight to her dorm and knocked on the door. When she opened it and saw us standing there, she knew something was up. The guy said we were now officially together, and she literally screamed so loud that people in the hallway turned to look. She pulled us both into a hug and kept saying she knew we'd be perfect for each other. I felt so lucky to have a friend who genuinely cared about my happiness instead of getting jealous or weird about the situation. We stayed and talked with her for about 30 minutes before heading out to dinner together. Over the next few weeks, everything just felt really comfortable and normal. We studied together at the library most nights of the week, and I helped him with his English essays while he explained math concepts I didn't understand. We went on coffee dates every Tuesday and Thursday morning before our first classes. Every Saturday, we volunteered at the shelter together, and it became my favorite part of the week. Sophia joined us for group hangouts on Friday nights, and it never felt awkward or weird. Sometimes we'd all go to campus events together or just hang out watching movies in someone's dorm room. The three of us had this easy friendship where no one felt left out or like a third wheel. I noticed people on campus stopped gossiping about us after a while because there was no drama to talk about. We were just a normal couple doing normal relationship things, and our friend group remained solid. One afternoon, Sunita stopped me after our biology lab. She said she wanted to tell me she was really impressed with how we handled everything. She admitted that when she first heard the rumors about me and Sophia and the guy, she thought it would turn into this big drama mess. I said being honest with everyone and having good friends made everything much easier than it could have been. She nodded and said more people should communicate like that instead of playing games or keeping secrets. That we walked out of the science building together, and she asked if it was really okay with everything. I took out my phone and showed her the group chat, where Sophia constantly sent memes about being the best Cupid on campus. Sunita laughed and said that was pretty clear proof there were no hard feelings. I felt grateful that even people who weren't super close friends could see our situation worked because we all really cared about each other and talked about things. One Sunday afternoon, he suggested we do a video call with my parents so they could meet him. I set up my laptop in my dorm room and called home, feeling strangely nervous about the whole situation. My mom answered first and immediately started gushing about how handsome he was, which made me want to crawl under my desk. My dad joined the call a minute later, and the guy introduced himself very politely, shaking hands with the camera like a complete dork. They talked about his major and his classes for a while. Then my mom kept asking questions about how we met and how he treats me. He handled it perfectly, being respectful and funny without trying too hard. My dad perked up when video games came into the conversation somehow, and the two of them spent the next 20 minutes talking about different gaming systems and their favorite titles. I just sat there watching them connect over Mario Kart strategies and classic Zelda games. My mom kept smiling at me and mouthing things like I like him when he wasn't looking. By the end of the call, my parents were basically planning our future together, which was embarrassing but also kind of sweet. After we hung up, he asked if it went well, and I said my dad never talks to anyone about video games for that long unless he really likes the person. The following weekend, his family drove to campus to visit, and I met them for lunch at a restaurant near the quad. His two sisters showed up first and immediately started teasing him about finally having a girlfriend after years of being useless at relationships. They told me stories about his awkward middle school years and how he used to practice talking to girls in the mirror, which made him turn red. His parents arrived a few minutes later, and his mom hugged me like we'd known each other forever. His dad was quieter but really warm, asking about my classes and what I wanted to do after graduation. We spent about 2 hours at lunch, and his sisters kept making jokes the whole time, but in a fun way that made me feel included instead of uncomfortable. His mom invited me to visit them during spring break and told me to call her whenever I needed anything. Walking back to campus afterward, he apologized for his sisters being so embarrassing, but I said they were really funny and I liked them. He seemed relieved and admitted he was nervous about me meeting his family, because sometimes they can be a lot. A few weeks later, Sophia mentioned she had started seeing someone new from her pre-med program. She seemed really excited about him. So I suggested we all go on a double date to this campus event that was happening Friday night. The four of us met at the student center and walked over together. Sophia's new boyfriend was nice and easy to talk to, and clearly thought she was amazing, which made me happy for her. We spent the evening checking out different booths and activities, and it felt really natural hanging out as a group. No one felt left out or like a third wheel, and the conversation flowed easily between all of us. At one point, Sophia pulled me aside and whispered that she was happy we could all be friends without any weirdness. I agreed and said I liked her new boyfriend and thought they were cute together. The night ended with all of us getting food from a campus food truck and sitting on the grass talking about random things until it got too cold. Walking back to the dorms later, I felt grateful that my relationship hadn't messed up my friendship with Sophia and that we could still have fun together like this. Our group project for communications class finally finished the following week. We'd been working on this presentation for over a month, and the final day arrived faster than I expected. Our team met an hour before class to practice one last time and make sure all the slides worked properly. During the actual presentation, the guy and I took turns speaking and passed to each other smoothly without any awkwardness. We'd made a point of treating each other like teammates instead of a couple during all our meetings. And it paid off because no one on our team felt uncomfortable. After all the presentations finished, our professor announced the grades and we got full marks. Everyone high-fived and our other group members thanked us for being so professional about working together despite being dating. I felt proud that we managed to keep our relationship separate from the assignment and didn't let it affect our work or make things weird for anyone else. As exam week approached and the semester started to wind down, I found myself thinking about how much had changed since that party where Sophia sent me to talk to him. Back then, I could barely talk to guys without getting awkward and nervous. And I definitely never thought I'd end up in a real relationship. But here I was several months later with a boyfriend who actually liked me for who I was. I felt more confident overall, not just with him, but in other areas of my life too. I'd learned that taking risks in relationships could actually work out, instead of ending in disaster like I always feared. I was sitting in the library studying for my biology final exam. I looked over at him working on his own exam prep and felt this weird sense of contentment. Things weren't perfect, but they were really good, and I had grown as a person through this whole experience. I'd stopped being so afraid of putting myself out there and started believing that maybe I deserved good things happening to me. One afternoon while we were studying together, he mentioned he was planning to stay on campus during summer to take some extra classes. He asked if I'd thought about my summer plans, and I admitted I hadn't really decided. The idea of spending the whole summer away from him sounded terrible, so I said I considered staying too. We looked at summer class options together and found several that fit both our schedules and course requirements. I texted Sophia asking what she was doing, and she said she was staying too to get ahead on pre-med requirements. The three of us started making plans for summer adventures around our class schedules. We talked about exploring parts of the city we'd never visited, having regular movie nights, and maybe taking a weekend trip somewhere nearby. Knowing I'd have both him and Sophia around during summer made the idea of staying on campus really exciting instead of boring. Exam week finally ended, and we celebrated with a group dinner at Sophia's favorite Italian restaurant off campus. About 8 of us showed up, including Sophia's boyfriend and some other friends from our study groups. Everyone was in a good mood, relieved to be done with exams, and ready for summer break. We ordered too much food and spent hours just talking and laughing about the semester. Sophia stood up at one point and made a toast, thanking everyone for being such good friends and making this year so memorable. She looked right at me when she talked about how important it was to have people who support you and want you to be happy. I felt my eyes get a little teary because I knew how lucky I was to have friends like this. The whole table raised their glasses and we all cheered, probably bothering other customers, but none of us cared. Looking around at all the faces, I felt this overwhelming sense of gratitude for the people in my life. After dinner ended, the guy and I started walking back toward campus together, while most of the group went in different directions. The night was warm, and there were still people walking around even though it was getting late. We walked slowly, not in much of a hurry to get back. He was quiet for a while, then stopped walking and turned to face me. He told me he was falling in love with me. He just said it like that, straight out. I felt my brain freeze for a second because I didn't expect him to say it at that moment, but I realized I felt the same way, and I said so. The words came out easier than I thought they would. We stood there on the sidewalk, just smiling at each other like complete idiots, probably looking ridiculous to anyone passing by. He reached for my hand, and we started walking again, both smiling too much to have a normal conversation. The rest of the walk back was quiet, but in a good way, like we didn't need to fill the silence with talk. When we got to my dorm, he gave me a goodnight hug, and I practically floated upstairs to my room. Later that night, I texted Sophia to thank her again for being the best cupid and friend anyone could ask for. I said none of this would have happened if she hadn't pushed me to talk to him at that party. She responded almost immediately, saying she just gave us a nudge in the right direction, but we did all the heavy lifting of actually building a real relationship. She said she was proud of me for taking the risk and putting myself out there, even though it scared me. Reading her message made me tear up a little because she was right. She had helped set things in motion, but everything that came after was because we both chose to be honest and vulnerable with each other. I thanked her again and told her I loved her. Then I finally put my phone away and got ready for bed. Looking back on everything now, I'm amazed how a simple favor for a friend turned into something so significant and real. I have an amazing boyfriend who likes me for exactly who I am. Weird quirks and all, my best friend is still my best friend. And our relationship is stronger than ever because we communicate honestly with each other. I learned that sometimes the best things happen when you step outside your comfort zone and take risks even when you're terrified. Life is pretty great right now, and I feel happier than I've felt in a long time. Summer stretches out ahead of us, full of possibilities and adventures with people I care about. I can't wait to see what happens next with all of us together, making new memories and growing closer as friends. Sometimes I still can't believe all of this started because Sophia asked me to talk to a cute guy at a party, and I'm so glad I said yes to help her even though it terrified me. Everything worked out better than I ever could have imagined, and I'm excited to see where things go from here. That's how it happened to me. But I want to know what you guys think. Would you have done the same thing or something totally different? Leave your thoughts in the comments. I always end up learning something new from you guys.